We have an empty podium right here to my right. You know what that is? That's for Joe Biden. I'm trying to get him to debate. I'm calling on Crooked Joe to debate anytime, any place. We'll do it anywhere you want, Joe. So that we can discuss in a friendly manner the real problems of our country.
In a friendly manner, he says. Welcome back to State of the Union. Donald Trump pledging to debate, quote, Crooked Joe, anytime, anywhere, any place. My panel joins me now. Congressman, if you were advising President Biden, should he take the bait? This is obviously going to be a campaign tactic. They even printed out little signs to try to make him look strong and Biden look afraid to debate him.
First of all, the person who's usually challenging for debates is the one who's losing, just in politics. So
that's true.
It shows that Trump is not as confident. The second thing is Biden won those two debates the last time. I mean, you remember the first debate, Trump was so over the top. He didn't come off as likable. So I'd say, sure, debate him in the proper time in the fall. And I think the president would do very well.
What do you think?
You know, for a president who talks about democracy and how important democracy is, I think he should absolutely debate him. The American people deserve to see our two presidents who are running for president debate on the world stage. That's democracy in action. And so absolutely he should debate him.
But at this point, Biden has not committed to debating him. He has said, I mean, noting the performance in the first debate last time. Go ahead.
We level set.
Yes,
here.
Go ahead. Go level set.
This
whatever that
is
means.
The likely Republican nominee who refused to debate in the entire primary process.
True.
Why?
That was a calculated decision. He didn't need to at that point.
It wasn't necessary for the former president to debate against people who were polling at 20%,
what was he afraid
10%,
of?
50%.
What's he afraid of?
But it makes all the sense
we know
in
what
the world
the strategy
debating.
was.
Hold on one second.
But also this president, this former president, has refused to debate in the typical presidential commission debate system. He has pulled out of that. So what exactly is he asking for? We know that this is just a campaign tactic. The congressman is right. When somebody is doing this, we've all been on campaigns where this is a tactic, typically means you're losing. We know what he's doing. I don't think President Biden is afraid of debating him, but there'll be a time for that, typically post conventions in the fall, where people are really focused and tuning into the election. I don't think the president is scared of anything. He just sees what Donald Trump is doing, and it's a gimmick.
Stephanie is right, though, that generally speaking, you know, you can tell a campaign's behind when they say, like, they're calling for 400 debates against Congressman X, right? I mean, that is normal.
But Trump isn't behind. He's ahead in every national poll. He's ahead in most battleground states. And if the election were held today, despite 91 indictments, 4 federal trials, he's still ahead. That says a lot. And the fact is that President Biden is hemorrhaging support among African Americans, among young voters, among other voters of color. They're not excited about him. And then when you throw in the slew of independent candidates, RFK, Cornel West, Jill Stein, it doesn't look great for the president in terms of his path of winning the election.
So let's
Why don't we just have a consensus?
Yes.
Jake Tapper moderates the debate. Donald Trump and
I love it.
That sounds good.
President Biden isn't the only presidential candidate getting votes, though, right now. There are, as you noted, there are these third-party candidates, Robert Kennedy Jr., Cornel West, Jill Stein, others that threaten Biden. But we should note, voters in the Republican primaries are also turning out to vote for people that are not named Trump. A Washington Post analysis found that nearly 1 in 5 Republican primary voters across 4 contests Tuesday voted for an option other than Mr. Trump. Since Nikki Haley dropped out of the campaign after Super Tuesday on March 5th, an average of 17% of those voting in Republican contests have voted against Trump, compared to 11% voting against Biden. If you exclude low turnout caucuses in deep red southern states, Trump is ceding an average of 20% since Super Tuesday. There's still a lot of, yes, there are dissatisfied Democrats out there, and we see the protest vote, but there are even more dissatisfied Republicans.
Look, it's early in the process. So we sure Michael and I were talking earlier, and these people will absolutely come home for Donald Trump. Donald Trump just had his biggest small dollar donations in March, grassroots small dollar donations. You know, the American people are waking up to the fact, and they're seeing and feeling, they believe that our judicial system is sort of rigged, right, against Donald Trump.
You mean by the
like lawfare? Well, for example, the Judge Juan Merchant in the hush money case, his daughter, for crying out loud, raises money for Adam Schiff and Kamala Harris using the ploy that we will lock up Donald Trump.
Go ahead.
Look,
and Donald Trump will keep raising small dollar money on that. Absolutely. That judge needs to recuse himself from that case.
Here's the thing that the Republicans haven't come to terms with. Abortion rights, the right to choose matters. That's why they underperformed in 2022. That's why you're going to lose a lot of suburban women and suburban men. And the Florida decision, where you've got a 6-week ban that the judges have upheld, and you're going to have ballot initiatives, I think the polling is overestimating the support again.
What do you think is going to matter more? I mean, let me rephrase that. How much do you think that the idea of these investigations is actually going to help Trump, not just with his base, but maybe with swing voters or independents who think?
I don't think it's going to help swing voters. I mean, the polling shows if he is actually found guilty in any of these cases, the election moves significantally to President Biden. I mean, nobody is really questioning whether the former president used hush money to cover something up in the 2016 election.
You can say her name. Stormy Daniels is her name.
Thank you, Stormy Daniels. I actually wasn't sure which one.
Well, there were a couple.
There were a couple.
Okay.
Voters don't have an open question on that. He did do that. Now he's being held accountable for it. But that's not the only thing he's being held accountable for. If he is found guilty in any of these cases, he is going to lose votes. And these people probably wouldn't be with him anyway. His deep MAGA base don't care about these court cases. They do think the justice system is weaponized against him. Those aren't Biden voters, and those aren't technically Trump voters either.
But
they are the swing in this election.
They might be Robert Kennedy Jr. voters. And sure, Michael, I want to get your position on this because we had a focus group runner the other day on our show. I don't know who called, somebody who runs focus groups, saying that she actually thinks that maybe he's going to hurt, or RFK Jr.'s candidacies might hurt Trump more than it hurts Biden. And then just on Friday, RFK Jr. raised the possibility that the attack on the Capitol on January 6, 2021 was not a true insurrection. He said, quote, "It's quite clear that many of the January 6 protesters broke the law in what may have started as a protest but turned into a riot. I have not examined the evidence in detail, but reasonable people, including Trump opponents, tell me there is little evidence of a true insurrection. I am concerned about the possibility that political objectives motivated the vigor of the prosecution of the January 6 defendants, their long sentences, and their harsh treatment. One can, as I do, oppose Donald Trump and all he stands for and still be disturbed by the weaponization of government against him," which sounds like Tiffany. So, I mean,
people believe that, but RFK Jr. is a Democrat. He's not a conservative. Trump supporters,
I don't know what he is, frankly.
Trump supporters are not going to abandon their guy. They'd walk off a cliff if it meant getting Donald Trump back into the White House. Now, here's a bit of math here. So in 2016, Donald Trump won the election with 88% nationally of Republican support. In 2020, he received 94% to President Biden's 96%. If President Biden sees a decrease below 94% of Democrat support nationally and Trump can maintain that 94% from 2020, he absolutely gets back into the White House. And the current math today showcase that path does exist. So I'm not worried about RFK.
So the only reason President Trump won in 2016 is because of third-party candidates. And he himself has admitted that RFK helps his candidacy this time.
As of now, yeah.
As of now. The only way he will win is if a third party is taking votes away from President Biden, because let's be real, former President Trump's base is not going to grow. It is what it is. He's hit his ceiling. For RFK, yes, I guess in the past he's been a Democrat. I don't know what he is now other than a conspiratorialist, a liar.
He's certainly no conservative.
I think he's trying to have it both ways.
Very quick.
Beyond the politics, as someone who was there on January 6th, for RFK to talk about that as protests when people are vandalizing the Capitol, when they're hitting police officers, there should just be a consensus that's wrong. And it's sad that the son of
That happened in all of our cities across the country as well.
Thanks one and all for being here. Is loneliness the key to Donald Trump's success?